position on pilots/TIFs? Will you support an audit to ensure that pilots and TIFs are providing a return on investment for the taxpayer? We will start with Mr. Burkhardt.
Absolutely. I think that return on investment is one of the key things that we need to do as a government. It ensures smart spending and efficient spending. Obviously we may need to use TIFs and things of that nature, but I truly believe that if we market our city, people will want to be here. If we bring people to our city to spend money, jobs and companies will want to be here and want to invest in us. There's 11 million people that visit the Smoky Mountains. If they each come here and spend $20, that's over $220 million into our local economy a year. If we bring in money, businesses want to be here, and they don't need the TIF because they'll make the money. But obviously, if we are offering that, return on investment is one of the most important aspects of marketing, and it's something I'm extremely passionate about. And so absolutely, if we are offering a TIF, the return has to be there. We can't have a situation like Walmart coming in on campus then leaving after 5 years. So we have to step up and we have to make sure that we are safe from a loss, because losing money as a government means we do not have money to fund programs or invest in parts of our city that may need it more than others. So absolutely, audits, hands down, return on investment needs to happen.
Mr. Skinner.
Yeah, I would agree that, as we think about cash flow and certainly positioning ourselves to have that, I would also challenge us to really think about the businesses that we do attract. Think about that a priority for businesses should be diversity and inclusion. When we think about all representation of businesses, small and big, that we have to be intentional about attracting businesses that that has Black ownership and Latinx ownership and such. So if we want to maintain and have sustainable businesses here and attract sustainable businesses, diversity and inclusion has to be a priority.
Thank you. Mr. Stair.
Thank you. I served on council over 8 years, so I've obviously voted for some TIFs and pilots, and I've voted against them. I think in terms of they do a lot of good. They're a tool in the toolbox to address difficult projects, and downtown would not be where it is today without TIFs and pilots. And when you're dealing with blighted property, vacant buildings, historic buildings, brownfields, sometimes you need those tools. But I think we have to be extra judicious with this tool, and we can't lose the public's trust. So I don't think anytime there's a project and it that has a little bit of investment that needs a TIF, it really needs to be looked at. If this is not given, if the project wouldn't occur, the but-for test, and that's what I would use as mayor.
Mr. Andrews.
I think that we do need to have like a check and balance system for it. But I think that we need to make it a priority to bring in major industries that's going to hire a minimum of 1,000 people, and then make the people who live in the city of Knoxville make it a priority as far as giving them first dibs on that job when they do come in. I think that the city needs to work out something with them to where they can't just up and leave, but they have to make a commitment of at least 20 years to be in the city. So that gives people job security. That makes people feel secure with knowing that I have a place to go and I have a place to work every day, and I know that my family's going to be taken care of.
Thank you. Mr. Manis.
I think we've all had to address TIFs and pilots, and when I was in the administration, one of the first TIFs and pilots, or the TIF that I worked on, was with the University Commons. Dr. Lyons and I, just shortly after I went there, we worked to get that done. If you remember that property there on Kingston Pike, Cumberland, it's the old Robert Shaw property, I think. And if you remember what it looked like before University Commons went there, it was very blighted. And I used to be on the Third Creek Greenway all the time, and I would walk by there, and there were lots of things going on that site that we really wouldn't want going on in right on the fringe of a greenway. And I think it's important to remember that when you get a TIF for a pilot, it is not business specific. Walmart left University Commons, and again, I was involved in that deal when they left, but the TIF for the pilot is directed at brick and mortar, not to the business. It is an incentive given to the developer, not to the business. And so we did struggle with that early on, and I think there's a need to always clarify that, because that would be corporate welfare, and it's really not corporate welfare. It's tied to tax base, and so it is on the property and it's given to the developer just as an incentive. And so I think that, and what Marshall said was right. Without that, downtown would not be here today.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kincaid?
Well, I'll just go on the record to say I'm opposed to corporate welfare. I also think that TIFs and pilots have a role to play in development in areas that otherwise would not see redevelopment. When I'm mayor, I want to be more proactive about how we solicit development. Can we offer TIFs and pilots in parts of Knoxville that haven't had a lot of investment in recent years? Can we partner and overlap with the opportunity zones where there's huge tax benefits for redevelopment, but only in certain parts of Knoxville along Magnolia Avenue and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard? Why not leverage that and be more proactive? And it would be my job as mayor to make sure anytime we approve or bring to council a TIF or pilot that we make sure that the community benefit exceeds the community cost. And that not only am I convinced, but that the community is convinced. So, and I would like to also expand what community benefit means. Could we, when we bestow a subsidy to a developer, say, the community benefit also includes employing people who live in the city of Knoxville. It means paying them a living wage. It means providing long-term jobs, telling us how many jobs that would come into the community as a result of this development, and then holding them accountable to that. So I think that with those provisions in place, I could support more TIFs and pilots in those underserved areas.
Okay, thank you, candidates. All right, our next question.